and Dwayne Wade right at the body of Anderson Varejao. Welcome to your Kodak moment, Anderson Varejao.
Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Welcome back to the BSPN radio show. We are this week sadly not live. Bit of a mess up on BRAD, but we will hopefully be back as soon as possible. Today will be a bit of a shorter show because of that, but we felt like we got to get something out for you guys to listen to.
Yup.
Yeah, so this week, standings nearly entirely the same. However, the Magic have gained the tiebreaker on the Heat for the 8th seed. And most of the West is now, the playoff spots are shuffled a bit, but they seem to be set as far as teams, considering the only team in the West that is not currently in the playoff top 8, but is not eliminated, are the Kings, and they will follow the rest of the league soon.
Yeah, I just want to say Devin Booker.
Well, yeah, we can start on
man.
that. We can start on that.
Back-to-back 50-point games. That's
Back-to-back losses.
back-to-back losses and back-to-back 50-point games.
Yeah. He needs to get out of there.
He needs to get off the Suns.
I mean, I'm a big fan of DeAndre Ayton. I'm a big fan of TJ Warren, big fan of Mikal Bridges. Kelly Oubre was playing the best basketball of his life. This isn't a team he should stay on. I mean, he got his money.
Yeah, he got his money and he got his fame.
Yeah.
He's definitely made a name for himself in the league.
Yep. It's just sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the most wins the Suns have had in his career are 23,
Which is ridiculous.
which is ridiculous when you consider the amount of talent they've had there.
Yeah, I know. But it's you can't have young players on the Suns.
Yeah. They also lead the league in negative point differential. They have a negative 9.3 point differential on the season. Not great.
Not great at all.
Yeah. It's tough for them. What do you think their first step is to, succeeding if they get to keep Devin Booker? Because he started out the season by saying he wasn't going to miss playoffs again. And now here they are with the worst record in the league. Well, second worst record in the league. Yeah, so Devin Booker, that man, I'm worried for him. Because, I mean, you look at what happened with Kevin Love. Kevin Love, everyone was just like, look how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the best power forward in the league. They had him in the same conversation with a prime Blake Griffin.
Yeah, which is now ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for Blake Griffin, but...
You feel bad for Blake Griffin?
Yeah.
Why?
He's always going to be an afterthought in his draft. James Harden,
Yeah.
Steph Curry.
Do you think Blake Griffin makes the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
I think, I mean, the Basketball Hall of Fame is pretty easy to get into, but for me the biggest thing is the impact he had on the Clippers. He is the Clippers franchise. He gave the Clippers a face.
I think all three of them.
Yeah, but Lob City was started by having Blake Griffin. I know DeAndre Jordan was there first. I know all of that. Lob City started.
You don't have Lob City without Chris Paul.
You don't have Lob City without Chris Paul, but I think any good passing... Do you think Rajon Rondo could have done what Chris Paul did in LAC? I do.
You do?
I think you just needed a good passing point guard. That's all you needed. I think you still have a very good team if you remove either of them, but Lob City as a whole thing is Blake Griffin.
So who would you want more? Clippers, Chris Paul, or Celtics Rajon Rondo?
Oh, this is difficult because Rajon Rondo did so well in a veteran locker room with smart basketball minds, but Chris Paul didn't do too great with egos either way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so it's all about the fit. I think basketball wise, the fit is even better with Rajon Rondo. like in terms of basketball, because Chris Paul needed to get his shots, all of that. But like when it comes down to it, I think either way, the Lob City was going to blow up. Like there was no player that could have balanced the egos that was available at that time. I'd also quickly like to mention I was right about UC Irvine.
Yeah.
That may be the ballsiest call I've ever made, and I was right on it. I guess we got a call. You want to take it, or
How do you...
just pick it up and put it on a speaker?
Yo, hello?
Hey, is Max there?
Yeah.
I think there's a problem with the website.
Yeah, the
for
website's
sure.
the website's down.
Is there any other way to listen?
We're actually recording in Audacity right now to try and make it work so that we can upload something, but nope. You got any basketball questions?
Oh, basketball questions. I thought you wanted me to do an impression.
Nah.
I mean, we're up for that too. Just
Yeah, I mean, are you guys going to talk about, like, March Madness or the
We
rap
can.
again?
We can.
we can indeed.
What?
What do you want to talk about March Madness about?
Well, how y'all brackets doing?
Oh, my bracket fell apart. I was doing perfectly day 1 and day 2. I had 3 total mistakes day 1 and day 2. Since then, I think I've had 3 total successes.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That's really impressive, though. 3 mistakes on, like, round of 64 is really fucking solid.
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, word. Thanks, Ben.
No problem.
Peace out.
See y'all around.
Yeah.
Something is happening.
Either way, I do want to talk something March Madness.
Yeah.
Duke almost lost to UCF.
Almost.
Almost. I got 2 questions on that.
Mm-hmm.
How strong is Duke now? What's that going to do for Taco Fall's draft stock?
I think Taco Fall's draft stock shot up. I think it goes top 10.
Oh, no.
You don't think it goes top 10?
No. I think you can't just draft. That's Alex Len. You can't just draft a big body
Alex
for the sake
Len?
of being a big body.
No, but this is not just a big body. This dude is 7'6".
I know.
He's an 8'4" wingspan.
You know where I think he ends up?
Where?
Atlanta, second round.
That would be dangerous.
I think he ends up in Atlanta because Atlanta wants a rim protector next to John Collins. John Collins spends so much of his effort just guarding out on the perimeter on guards because they switch everything, or like jumping for every single lob, and there's a lot of them. I think they go Taco Fall because John Collins has shown at least a mid-range jumper.
Mm-hmm.
He can potentially stretch out to the 3. Then you have Taco Fall as just the defensive like anchor.
Well, I could see Taco Fall becoming another Mo Bamba.
Absolutely.
Where you
It's the whole thing of drafting for height and drafting for measurables. You can't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'd take the skilled prospect over the pure athlete. And that's what Mo Bamba was last year. Mo Bamba did not show really. He showed he could block shots, but then again, it's not difficult to block shots in college as a, what is he, 7'2"?
Yeah, he's
he has a
something
7'10" and a half wingspan too. It's not really difficult to block shots like that.
Yeah.
I think it really came down to, like, look, you had Jordan Murphy in Minnesota playing center at 6'4".
Yeah.
That was a thing.
That's
Like,
ridiculous.
that I don't think it's that inconceivable that you can't look at defensive centers as much.
Yeah.
Because Cat was amazing defensively in
Okay,
college.
yeah, but Cat's offensive game
Is probably the most versatile in the league, in my opinion.
no, Jokic.
Look, as much as I love Jokic, there's a serious problem with people overrating how good he is.
No, his passing, he
He is the best passer best big man passer in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Like, undeniably. He's in the same level as Arvydas Sabonis already. That's amazing to me. The thing I'm saying is, Cat's a better post-up player. Cat's a better shooter. I know we're only talking offensive game. Cat's a better defender in space and as a rim protector.
Mm-hmm.
Cat's, I'm not going to say leading his teams to better things, but Cat has done more with less. This year, he has had very little help. they're still a decent team.
That's true.
Jokic every year has had at least like 40 or 50 games of Paul Millsap, 60 or 70 games of Gary Harris, 60 or 70 games of Jamal Murray. He has, and then even then they have so much depth that he's had a lot of help.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think, look, I'm obviously going to be a huge Cat stan because I mean that's my player.
Right.
You can't just let him go like that. But like I legitimately think we've gotten to the point where Cat is severely underrated. Because people just look at what happened with Jimmy and they're like, oh, he's soft. My guy is averaging like 1.6 blocks a game.
He could be averaging more.
He could be, but then again, it's the whole problem that it was with what's his name? Oh, this is gonna be embarrassing. Well, it's the same concept as a player who's like super engaged offensively, so they have to maintain energy. Like James Harden. It's not at the level of James Harden defensively, but like he needs to contain himself as much as possible on the defensive end because he is essentially the Timberwolves' whole offense. The rest of the Timberwolves' whole offense is Derrick Rose going in the pick and roll with Cat or Andrew Wiggins taking up contested 20-footers. That's about it. That's like, and look, this brings me to the next story. Timberwolves are looking to keep Ryan Saunders as their head coach, but fire Scott Layden. I love this.
Yeah.
This is the ideal situation.
What's that?
Ryan Saunders, great leader. Decent coach. Like I would say he's like around 20th in terms of like pure scheme.
Okay.
But in terms of leading a team, in terms of getting a team engaged, which is something that Tibbs could never do, he already has everyone on that team playing 100%. He has Anthony Tolliver playing small forward at nearly half of his minutes, and he keeps him happy. Anthony Tolliver refused to play small forward for Detroit. Like, straight up refused. He has Tyus Jones Tyus Jones had problems last season where he requested a trade, and Tibbs convinced him not to. Tyus Jones has been incredibly content and happy this season because of Ryan Saunders. Because Ryan Saunders has been there and essentially just said, hey, this is how we're going to do it. Since Ryan Saunders became coach, the numbers aren't great in terms of wins and losses, but in terms of shot profile, it's much better. Not nearly as many mid-ranges, not nearly as many Andrew Wiggins ISO mid-ranges.
Yeah, thank God.
They have Andrew Wiggins, they are playing point Wiggins, which in an article I wrote, one of the few ways to get Wiggins really going. Against the Lakers like 2 months ago or something, they played him at point guard for, I think it was like 6 possessions, and during all their offensive rating, I know it's only 6 possessions, was like 200 points. Jesus. He can do that. He has underrated ball handling at this point. His shot may not be the greatest, but he's gotten better at passing, gotten a lot better at finding the open man, and he's a super athlete. I mean, running the floor is what he should be doing. And Ryan Saunders has been doing that. So they have way more layups, way more three-point shots, way less mid-ranges, and they're starting Dario Saric for shooting.
Who would you accept the trade for Andrew Wiggins?
So I was speaking to someone and I was like, hey, Pistons might want to do Blake Griffin for Andrew Wiggins.
No way.
Yes, they would.
No way.
They are locked. They are absolutely locked with no way of getting better. Period.
The Pistons do not trade away Blake Griffin for Andrew Wiggins.
Blake Griffin has taken away every single touch from Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond, a season and a half ago, was averaging 6.5 assists a game. You want to know how many he's averaging now?
How many?
2. And that's if you're rounding up.
Well, that's just because Blake Griffin is a better passer.
Maybe, but that doesn't mean you ignore everything Andre Drummond can do.
Well,
Andre Drummond is a very good passer from the high post.
Well, yeah, but if Blake Griffin's better, then you use Blake Griffin.
Yes, but that doesn't mean you take away all the touches. That means, hey, Andre Drummond has a good skill set. Let's have him passing from the high post. Blake Griffin can shoot. Why not have Blake Griffin running around a bit pass out of Andre Drummond?
I think if the Pistons are going to do anything, they change rotations, they change lineups, whatever.
Where do you think they cap out at?
What do you mean?
Like, what's their ceiling as a team going forward? I say their ceiling is first round exit. That's the best they can do.
No. Like, well, in a span of what?
Let's say the next 4 years. The best they can do, unless they flat out tank, is
The next
a first
4 years?
Yeah. They have Reggie Jackson, who is the most selfish point guard. He thinks he's a top 5 point guard when he plays like a top 25.
That's true.
And that's pushing it.
Yeah. But I still, no, because look, Andre Drummond's only 25.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's only, like.
Andrew Wiggins is 23. Blake is 30.
But you cannot trade Blake. You just you don't trade
Blake is
Griffin
on
for
such
Andrew
an
Wiggins.
immovable contract that I could see. Well, then we would have like Andrew Wiggins and Keita Bates-Diop, who's shown incredible promise. You can't get me wrong on that.
No, you're right.
He's been great for the Timberwolves. I would love to have him. Ohio State graduate. He is a damn good player. But like, I think the Pistons would be fine with it. The Pistons want to get younger. They traded Reggie Bullock for Svi Mykhailiuk, who's the better player between the two. Reggie Bullock.
But if you think about it, with Andrew Wiggins, this is going to be his third team now?
Well, he never played a game for the Cavs.
Well, yeah. Okay, this is going to be his third time getting traded.
Second. Draft night, Cavs to Timberwolves, Timberwolves to Pistons.
Okay. So it's
that could do one of two things. That could either put a chip on his shoulder and he becomes incredibly good.
Or it could demoralize him even more.
Yeah, but then again, I think Dwayne Casey could actually, like, look what he did with DeMar DeRozan over the years. DeMar is an incredibly similar player to Andrew Wiggins. Hyper athlete. DeMar DeRozan was never the athlete Andrew Wiggins was, but in terms of shot profile, they're the same. In terms of relative abilities, they're the same.
Well, but like, because Blake Griffin, like, Blake is gonna ball. Like, he's like.
Here's my thing with Blake Griffin. The reason I think it'd be interesting to see him with the Timberwolves is only if he accepts he's a second option. Because a pick and roll with Blake Griffin and Karl Anthony Towns would be incredibly interesting. That would be like a modified version of what Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins were. A very like slightly changed. But when you think of, because neither of those are like incredible athletes anymore. But it could also be interesting because if it blows up with Blake and Cat can't play well together, you still got picks. You still got your picks. The Pistons, on the other hand, get a hyper athlete that if they can turn him around, he can be a top 10 player. If Andrew Wiggins has all the tools to be a top 10 player. Despite what it may look like, he is a smart basketball player. He's just smart when it comes to everyone but himself.
Okay, but look, so if you put Blake on the Timberwolves,
yeah,
what'll happen to Cat's passing?
Cat's passing is not nearly as good as Andre Drummond's passing. Cat's passing is quite good, but you can still have Blake as an off-ball shooter. Having Wiggins, you can pretty much only have him as a cutter. You can have Blake as a shooter or a cutter. And so I think that's. And it also depends on the ego of the coach. Ryan Saunders is only 32.
That's true.
That's only 2 years older than Blake Griffin. That's like that's like a fucking junior telling us to do some shit.
Yeah.
We would not listen. Yeah. So that margin becomes increasingly less important, like with the older you get. So I think that would be big.
Okay, so what's another trade for Andrew Wiggins? For
Andrew Wiggins, I mean, look, I would love to send him to San Antonio just because I want to see him succeed. I would think that'd be hilarious. I thought you could.
No, I don't think he does well in San Antonio.
Really?
Nah.
Look at what it did for Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay has become a winning player.
Yeah, but Rudy Gay and Andrew Wiggins, well, because like Andrew Wiggins still has not proven himself.
Yeah, but neither had Rudy Gay, honestly. Everyone thought Rudy Gay was not a winning player.
Rudy Gay on the Kings was a good player.
Not a winning player.
He was a good player, though.
Okay. Andrew Wiggins is a okay player. Andrew Wiggins is averaging the exact same stats as Kyle Kuzma. To the decimal point.
Yeah, but everyone's just hyped up on Kyle Kuzma because he was a nobody coming out.
Okay. But then you got to look at it objectively. If you think Kyle Kuzma is having a good season, Andrew Wiggins is too. Kyle Kuzma is the second option to LeBron. Andrew Wiggins is the second option to Cat.
Well, I think the difference between Kuz and Wiggins is because everyone thought that Wiggins was going to come into the league and just... Oh, my God.
He was kind of great when he came in. Hello?
Hello?
Yep.
Hi, this is Jack from New York.
What's good, Jack from New York?
I unfortunately have not been able to load the radio show, so I don't know what you've talked about yet. Do you think FSU has what it takes to go to the Final Four?
Absolutely not. I do not. I think that they're an interesting team to watch. I don't think it works out. I think FSU does not have what it takes. I can give you more specifics in a sec. Let me just,
Have you seen how long they are, though?
How what?
How long they are?
Okay, pause. First of all. Second of all, what do you mean?
They're some long boys.
So do you think they beat Gonzaga?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I had Syracuse beating Gonzaga, which went downhill very quickly.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Syracuse, if their point guard hadn't been an idiot and gotten, suspended for drug use, they could have beaten Gonzaga. I do not trust Gonzaga because I do not think Rui Hachimura is nearly as good as everyone says he is. But I do think that they make it to the Final Four.
Gonzaga makes it to the Final Four?
I think the reason I had Syracuse was kind of biased because I have friends there, and because it would have been hilarious. But Gonzaga makes it Final Four over FSU and potentially over Michigan. I think I have Michigan going further, but that's just because I like the matchup between Michigan and Gonzaga. I like Michigan has a lot of great defensive players this year, and they have a coach who knows defense.
Mm-hmm.
Gonzaga is the same thing, except with less offensive firepower.
Jack, why do you think FSU would beat Gonzaga?
I just think Gonzaga is a very, as you were saying, a very weak one seed. I think FSU is a well-rounded team and very strong defensively, and I think Gonzaga could collapse under the defensive pressure.
Okay, so
that's my opinion.
if they beat Gonzaga, then they have to go through Michigan or Texas Tech. Do you think
Yeah, it's probably gonna be Michigan. I think Michigan's overrated. They have a couple players who can get hot. But other than that, I don't think they're not built to go all the way. Not this year. Last year they got lucky.
Do you think
very, very easy time?
Do you think Gonzaga is the weakest one seed in the tournament right now?
I'd say so. After what St. Mary's did to them, I think that was pretty clear that they don't have what it. I just don't think a team that gets blown out by a team like St. Mary's could possibly win the tournament. I think the second weakest one seed is probably UNC, but I still think they're much better than Gonzaga.
I think this is a bit off topic from your question. I think Virginia is the weakest one seed in the game right now. Particularly because they still have the skeletons in their closet from last year. They are.
Yeah, I think that was just when they were down at the beginning of their game. That was how that made its appearance, and then now that they got over that, I feel like they're back in it a little bit.
I'm still worried for them. I think they're not really going to perform in the later stages the way that they should. They're going to get stuck in their own minds, and then it's just going to fall apart. If they get down 10 in any game going forward, I do not believe in them to come back from that.
I don't know. I feel like that would have happened in the first game if it wasn't going to happen because they were down at least 15.
Well, there was such a huge talent gap between them and Gardner-Webb that, I mean, if they had lost that game, they might as well just shut down their whole basketball section of their athletics program.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, thank you for taking my call, guys.
Yeah.
No problem, Jack.
See you boys.
Hopefully you can call in again when we have the show up and running and you can actually listen live. Let's get out of Phoenix. Here, so we got to talk. Apparently LeBron should have been out for 6 months instead of 6 weeks. Do you believe that?
No.
I don't believe that at all.
not at
I know how bad groin injuries can be, but like that this feels like the same thing as walking out with a cast at the end of Game 4 of the finals last year.
Yeah.
That it just feels like an
Yeah,
excuse.
6 months. Come on.
Yeah, no. Absolutely not. And if it was 6 months, why aren't the Lakers shutting him down? Why didn't the Lakers shut him down?
Yeah, and like, yeah, no, all this talk about like pride and like not want. If you can be out for 6 months, you're not coming back in 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's like breaking your leg and then coming back 2 weeks later and saying, yeah, but I don't have a cast on.
It's
stupid. We got another call.
Or are these all my friends?
Uh,
Hello?
Hello.
What's good, Nick?
Yeah, what's up?
I'm much. Chilling. How are you?
I want to talk about Oregon and in March Madness and what we think about Oregon's chances. Because I like them as a false team. I wanted to pick them. I couldn't pull through with it.
See, here's the thing with Oregon. My roommate did a bracket, and he's from Portland and doesn't know much basketball whatsoever, but he had Oregon winning it all, and he is looking like a genius in that regard, because so far Oregon has looked great. And I don't really believe in them going any farther than the Final Four.
You think they beat Virginia?
I think it's distinctly possible. As I just said, I do not believe in Virginia whatsoever. Oregon has a surprisingly much better team. Also, fun story, Oregon is the only team that has both of their teams, both men's and women's, still in their tournaments, their
Really?
respective tournaments. Yep.
Okay, so if Oregon gets through Virginia, then they have to beat Purdue or Tennessee.
Well, Tennessee was my pick to win it all. They are not beating Tennessee.
I don't think they're beating Purdue either. I don't
Yeah.
think they're beating Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see it. I love to see Virginia fall, especially because that would not do great for DeAndre Hunter's draft stock.
Yeah, and also Ben's bracket would be busted.
What a fool.
Yeah.
What a fool.
I had Wisconsin over them in the first round. That was a poor decision.
I mean, I had Oregon out. When did I have Oregon out? I had Kansas State beating Oregon. I thought Kansas State was going to
Yeah,
make it
you
past
should have
UC.
believed me with UC Irvine.
I should have.
Oregon, confusing team.
Very confusing.
Doesn't look like they have any high. So the biggest thing with them, they do not look like they have any real NBA talent coming out this year.
No, they didn't.
And as much as you can't just have first year NBA talent, so Duke, as much as you can't have that, you do need to have some of that. You need to have talented individuals to win. So I don't see them getting past.
I do think Virginia is vulnerable, though, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
UMBC part two. Obviously, UMBC didn't have NBA talent.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't think Oregon makes it to the Final Four though.
I would absolutely not. That's not possible.
Yeah.
Elite 8, definitely a possibility.
Maybe.
I mean, if Virginia loses again,
That would be wild.
that'd be wild. That'd be one of the most tragic downfalls in a very long time.
All right, I gotta go, but good talk. I'll keep
Yeah.
listening.
Thanks for calling in.
Peace, Nick.
Where do you think the top free agents will end up? We can look at the top 8, but
Oh, geez, yeah.
Kyrie, Knicks.
Hopefully.
KD, Knicks. I think KD
Or
to
the
the
Nets.
Knicks. KD to the Knicks is like a 99% possibility in my mind. I think there's very little way he goes anywhere else.
To the Knicks?
Yeah.
I mean,
He wants the cloud of bringing Knicks basketball back.
or he could want to go to the Nets because the Nets are on the up and up.
Maybe, but I don't think any major player wants to go to the Nets.
That's true.
I think Jimmy Butler ends up with the Nets. That's my pick.
That would be.
I think the Sixers made a huge mistake bringing Tobias Harrison. Because I think that hurts their touches for Jimmy so much. And Jimmy, you know how I feel about Jimmy, but Jimmy's an asshole. He's like undeniably a locker room not fun.
No,
And he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And Kat did an interview where he was like, "Oh, there's no hard feelings." You could tell he wanted to rip Jimmy's head off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler is a locker room cancer. There's no way to say it. And the fact that they said, all right, you're going to be the third option, which is what they said at the start of Minnesota. He is now the second option. Ben Simmons is not taking nearly as many shots. And that's fine because Ben Simmons is a distributor in a way that Andrew Wiggins wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still not great for his development. It's still not Jimmy Butler's team.
Jimmy Butler does not. I don't think Jimmy Butler stays on the Sixers. If Jimmy Butler goes to the Nets,
they're a problem. Especially because he can play small forward.
Huge problem. And D'Angelo Russell.
Yep. Also, Damari Carroll might want to re-sign for like a small contract. Jared Allen they have under contract.
I know, but still.
D'Lo, they can wait and then match something. And then if that happens, they can like waive Allen Crabbe and they'll have 2 spots. You could end up with who knows? Who knows who they could end up with? They could take a swing on Tobias Harris and take both of the Sixers players.
I don't think they do that.
Yeah, I don't either. I think they look for a jack of all trades power forward, which is a smart thing to do in my opinion.
Okay, so we got Kyrie, we got KD, we have
Jimmy.
Who else?
Kemba. I'm worried Kemba leaves now. I'd feel so bad for him because he really loves Charlotte and really wants to stay there for the fans. But
he has to think about himself.
He does. I mean, if he gets the Supermax, he should stay.
If he gets the Supermax.
Also on that topic, apparently Dame would sign the Supermax with Portland, and I'd feel that'd be the end of his career in terms of like winning championships.
Oh yeah, if Dame stays in Portland, he's never winning a championship.
Yeah, unless they get like a random free agent.
Yeah, but I don't see that happening.
I had Paul George with like a 3% chance of ending up in Portland.
That would be cool.
Because they could really dump salary. Mm-hmm. Like they could have dumped Myers Leonard and Evan Turner and probably ended up with something Paul George like. And that would have been a great 1-2-3. But like
yeah, but still.
Yeah. We got to look at what other big players. I think Boogie and Vucevic are the 2 most interesting free agents, not because of their impact, like where they end up, but just
where they want to go.
Yeah. We'll see what will happen with the center market. Because I could see a world where they get max contracts. They are not max contract players.
Boogie's not getting a max contract.
Boogie's might get $25 million a year.
Yeah.
Also,
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was confused. Boogie's not. What I meant to say is Boogie's not getting a max contract from the Warriors. Because
absolutely not.
No. Where do you see Boogie thriving?
Oh, thriving? So with Nurkic, thoughts and prayers, I guess. Mm-hmm. Nurkic being out for potentially more than a year.
Yeah, he's gonna be out for a long.
Yeah, he may be out for like a year and a half. This one may be the essentially the same thing as an Achilles tear in terms of how long he'll be out. Mm-hmm. I could see Boogie going to Portland. And that would be super interesting as because what we've seen with the Warriors is he can still play out of the post and be commanding there and pass out of it very well. Mm-hmm. I would love to see CJ and Dame just running around. And then we have a pick and roll with Dame and Boogie, have that going. I think that could be a great fit. I think he could also very well end up in Boston. I think that could happen. I think that may be the problem with egos. If Kyrie stays, they're going to trade for Anthony Davis. I think that's just a foregone conclusion in everyone's mind.
So who do the Celtics trade for Anthony Davis?
So I honestly think people are overrating how good Jason Tatum can be. I think there's not.
I just think Jason Tatum isn't as good just because he's on the team.
Maybe, but I think there isn't nearly as much as just a pure scorer as there once was. You look around the league, what pure scorer do you think you'd build a championship team around? I see KD. That's about it. And that's because KD can do it on both ends. Mm-hmm. Passing may not be his first inclination, but he does do it. And he can definitely be a part of a system.
Yeah, and it's not a hard
But
ego to...
you look around, what pure scorer do you think you could build a championship team with? Like, I think I don't really count Kyrie as a pure scorer. And he's score first, but
you cannot build a champ.
Well, if you can build him where he's the second option.
Yeah, exactly.
Not as a pure first option.
Kyrie cannot be the first option.
Same with Kemba. I think Kemba can only be a third option on a championship team. I also think that wherever he ends up could be a very strange set of egos. Just because Kemba has been the first option for so long, he's going to try to ISO a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pure scores.
Just because Kemba really hasn't had any help or any big help ever.
Yeah, I mean, he had a year where Dwight Howard put up 18 and 12. That was the most help he's ever gotten.
Right, but it's we haven't seen. I don't know. We haven't seen Kemba with
Another great player. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen Kemba with
That's why I love the Bradley Beal to Charlotte stuff so much.
Yeah, because if Kemba's matched with maybe Clay.
If that'd make me so conflicted.
Yeah.
I think Clay stays with the Warriors, period. I cannot see him going anywhere else. He loves it there. He loves Steph. Steph loves him.
Yeah, he's got
and he
his
said
money,
the only
rings.
way he'd leave is if they wouldn't max him. The Warriors are gonna max Clay. Absolutely not. Speaking of maxing a third option or fourth option, I think maxing Tobias Harris would be the worst decision the Sixers could make. Because if we assume that, Joel Embiid is on 28, 29 mil a year, will be 30 going forward.
Ben's on what? Ben's not on.
Ben's still on his rookie deal, but he's gonna be going into restricted free agency, the free agency after this one, I believe.
Yeah.
So then they're gonna give him a max. Then if you give Butler a full max, the 153 mil over 5 years max, and then same with Tobias Harris, you're looking at 150, $145 million for 3 players. You will not be able to fill in that team with anything else.
No, yeah, they definitely do not max out Tobias.
I think someone will throw a max at Tobias.
Yeah, I can see someone
So that's why I think the Sixers have put themselves in a horrible situation financially. I think Elton Brand may be the ballsiest GM. He didn't think this out.
No, he didn't. But he because he probably just saw Jimmy, Ben, Joel.
He's playing
Tobias,
2K.
And yeah.
He's playing 2K, and now he's stuck with 4 players where one of them I think hit their cap just now, which is Tobias Harris. Jimmy Butler is going to be declining after this year, or after a year from now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think he has one more year. He needs to find the right team.
He needs to find the right team, and he needs to stop being such an asshole.
I think he's just being an asshole because he's not on the right team.
We
didn't hear anything about him in Chicago.
Yes, we did.
Not in the early years.
Not in the early years, but that's because he was a nobody. It's like Antonio Brown.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick, and he didn't start shit because he was a nobody.
Yeah.
He becomes potentially the best wide receiver in the NFL. He becomes a diva. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jimmy is going to do best when he's the first option.
I think it needs to be 1A, 1B type thing. So that's why I like Boston, because Boston can do a lot.
Now, if Jimmy goes to Boston, he's going to
Not Boston, Brooklyn. My fault.
Okay, yeah.
We gotta look at other free agents. Kawhi, I think he should stay in Toronto. I think the only other option is the Clippers. Those are the 2 options. I would love to see him stay in Toronto. I'd love to see Fred VanVleet slowly become the starting point guard for that team.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he's able to do it.
Yeah, he's definitely on his way.
Seeing the combination of OG Anunoby and Kawhi Leonard on the defensive end would be horrifying, along with Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, who's been
balling out, absolutely balling.
Do you think he's made a case for most improved?
I do. I think you got to look at the importance of a player to their team and how much that team is winning if you look at most improved. So, Zach LaVine is super important to his team. Team isn't winning that much. Pascal Siakam is the 3rd option on his team. A great role player, in my opinion. Borderline star role player. But, not really. When you look at importance to his team, Kawhi is more important to the team than Pascal Siakam.
Oh, well, yeah. Absolutely.
I think it's arguable whether Kyle Lowry is more important.
I think Kawhi Leonard is the most important.
Absolutely. I think it's arguable whether Kyle Lowry is more important. I mean, at this point, is Marc Gasol more important? I think Marc Gasol hasn't been great since they traded for him, or the team hasn't been great. But I think that's going to happen when you trade for someone at the trade deadline and you're trying to figure out how to incorporate them.
Do you think the Raptors trying to move Kyle?
this offseason, I would love to see Kyle for Mike Conley. I think that'd be super
But then
interesting.
you just get another old point guard.
Maybe, but who are they going to move him for? You think they try to dump him and go for, like, Kemba? Wait, can you imagine that? They dump him and go for Kemba? Also, KD's favorite team growing up was the Raptors. Can you imagine the timeline where they dump Lowry, they let Marc Gasol walk, and they just kind of, like, get under the salary cap well enough? They just sign KD, and they're just like, this is our team going forward.
Mm-hmm. That'd be dangerous.
That'd be horrifying. I don't know how anyone would do anything against that.
But who'd you put at power forward?
You put Kawhi at shooting guard, KD at small forward, Pascal at power forward, Serge Ibaka at center, and then Van Vliet at point guard. And then you have a lot of low ego guys. You get to reunite KD with Ibaka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there may be the problem with who gets more touches, KD or Kawhi, and who's the closer for that team, but still be interesting.
But I think KD wants to save his career, save his narrative.
Yeah. I mean, which he would do if he came to New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I got to do the football 5 quickly. There are some interesting storylines in the NFL right now.
Lay him on me.
Gronk retiring at the age of 30. Very young retiring. University of Arizona alum.
Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame, absolutely. In my eyes, he is the single best tight end of all time, second best receiving tight end. You got to put Tony Gonzalez over him in that list. Yeah. But, like, he's up there. And you got to look at what he did to his own body. I mean, he toned down the alcohol trips, like the party cruises, but like he was still trying to do like TB12 stuff.
Yeah.
Like he was trying to do that workout, which isn't something you can do if you're however tall he was and however many pounds of muscle. Like he's a big dude. You can't do that. Yeah. What I am excited for there is might see a rematch in a dance battle between him and Shaq.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great to see. But with Gronk leaving, and with them losing a lot of players, specifically to the Lions, but you got to look at what they did this offseason. They got, what's his name? Bennett from the Eagles for a 4th-round pick, I believe. Interesting pickup. I'd be amazed to see what Belichick does with him. I think it'll be great. This used to be a revolutionary defensive player. He could do a lot with him. But if you look on the offensive side, Josh Gordon isn't coming back, so you got to leave him out of the equation. You have Sony Michel, Cordarrelle Patterson, a decent offensive line, and Tom Brady. That's your whole offensive layout.
Do you think Tom Brady falls off this year?
I don't want to bet against him. I hate him. I cannot bet against him. I think trading Garoppolo was a bad mistake, though.
Well, absolutely.
I think, and I think, I mean, Belichick absolutely knew that.
Well, but it's
going price for Garoppolo was a 1st-round pick. Brady just took a 2nd-rounder because he was just like, all right, fuck you, Robert Kraft, who, by the way, still has not admitted, despite the fact that he will get off scot-free if he admits that he was buying a prostitute.
He's an
idiot. An asshole and an idiot. But with the Patriots taking a step down, the AFC is super open. Like, the AFC has been under the iron grasp of the Patriots for a while. They were beatable last year. Kansas City had a chance to take them out. Goes into overtime. Strange rules. Whatever. The Super Bowl was a horrible game that could have been won by anyone. Like, that's how bad it was. And, like, it wasn't a good game. Oh, it's close. No, it was just a trash game.
Yeah.
But, like, who steps up in the AFC? That's an interesting storyline. The Steelers, super interesting. All the pressure is on Ben Roethlisberger right now. All of it.
And, yeah, I don't think...
They now have Juju Smith-Schuster and...
Juju's going to go off.
And what is his name? James Conner?
Yeah.
Something Conner? Those are the replacements. I like Conner He needs to get his hands better. He's fumbled so much. Juju, people may believe in him. I don't. I think
I do.
I think it was the same relationship between Sterling Shepard and Odell Beckham Jr. I think Odell made Sterling Shepard so much better by taking away that much focus and that much of the game plan. I think Ben Roethlisberger is, of course, a better quarterback than Eli Manning at this point. If you look at careers, I think I'd still rather have Eli.
Really?
Because Ben Roethlisberger brought so much more drama, and even then, he wasn't like... this is a controversial opinion. Even then, he wasn't like... He didn't win more. Like, his postseason success didn't mean more. He had usually better surrounding cast. Like, I mean, if you look around. But, like, the biggest thing for me right now, as a Giants fan, is Josh Rosen. I believe in Josh Rosen. I think he's still a good quarterback. I think no one could have done anything with that Arizona offensive line. No. You could have put a cardboard dummy out there, and they probably would have protected him for as long. Yeah. Like, he had, I think it was like 3 seconds in the pocket on average.
That's ridiculous.
Like, from the shotgun. He can't throw the ball like that. Yeah. And even then, he's a high-risk, high-reward quarterback. So he's going to try to, like, hit the nail on the head. Just, like, thread the needle on every single small pass. And that's what Eli did. I think Eli would be a great mentor for Josh Rosen. I think apparently the Giants offered a second-round pick. I think that's a bit high. Mm-hmm. I think if possible, you offer Alec Ogletree a third and a fourth. Alec Ogletree, jury's still out for a lot of people. I don't like him. I don't think he's a good player. People talk about his interceptions. Those were all from tip passes. Not difficult to get interceptions off tips. He was just in the right place at the right time. He can't rush the passer. He can't go back into coverage. He can't do very much. However, Arizona needs everything it can have for defense. Mm. And that's just... It'd be something. And then they could go Kyler Murray, whatever. Mm. We could go defense at 6 and 17, which is what I've been saying we should do. Yeah. We get a young quarterback. Apparently we can offer we've offered just a second. If it takes the 17th pick and we do it, I'm going to blow my brains out. But the best part about Rosen is that we don't have to pay his signing bonus, which is the biggest part of a quarterback contract. I like trading for Rosen. I'd love to see it happen as long as it doesn't cost too much. Yeah. And I think that should be the end of the Football 5. We made it to 50 minutes for you guys. Sorry again, website's down, but BSPN Radio.
Max and Tilo.
Absolutely. It'll be up later tonight on the BSPN Radio archive on SoundCloud. We also have an Instagram at BSPN Radio. Follow us there for updates on when we upload something, and we'll probably be doing a mock draft for their respective drafts when they come out, and we'll put them up there. But until next week, when we will hopefully have a live broadcast, I'm Tilo.
And I'm Max.
BSPN.
Peace.
See ya.